Now that was a dish of pickled radish. Radishes here are not the little bitty red ones that I'm familiar with in the USA. These radishes are the great big radishes, yes, and they slice them up. And the dish of radishes that I had there had been pickled with some vinegar, and they were sitting in the vinegar has been mixed with some, well, you guessed it, red pepper paste. Yeah, and yeah, it does have that red pepper kick to it, but it's cold, and it does go very well with everything else that I had there at the table. Kimchi is made out of cabbage, what we Americans would call a Chinese cabbage. I don't know the Korean word for it, but it's the oblong shaped cabbage. Yes, and there's a gardener just down the way from here who has a small plot, and he grows that stuff. I mean, there are kimchi farms, but kimchi growing I mean, cabbage growing all over the place. The climate here and the soil and everything seems to be perfect for that. And so kimchi, it's basically a fermented cabbage uh, that's been fermented in a red pepper mixture. Now, there are recipes, and I was discussing this with my director, and I said, well, it's like one of those things that you go into every home that has it, and whoever cooks in that home, they have their own variation of kimchi. But basically, it's a cabbage with red pepper, and it's been fermented, and it's served at every meal. Every meal that I've had here, there's been a side dish of kimchi, and so you get used to. At first, it's not that it was bad tasting. It wasn't. It's all been very good tasting, but it's taken me a little getting used to having so much of it, all the time. But I've gotten to where it's very delightful to eat. I watch other people what they do with it, and so what I've been doing, I take a little bit of kimchi and I mix it in with whatever it is I'm eating, and it's really, it adds the seasoning and the flavor to the meal. So you get used to it, and of course, people here they grow up with it. It's every day. It's kind of like grits and eggs in the South USA, or what bacon and eggs, kind of thing. It's just a normal thing here. Oh my goodness. I tell you what, you know, I have found that the red peppers here in Korea, I can eat those. I can chew them and eat them. And yes, there's a kick to them, but it's not overwhelming to me. And usually the green peppers aren't either. But at this very same restaurant, the last time I ate, I should have known better. But they set a dish of three peppers in front of me, and they were like two large ones and one small, skinny one. Yeah, and you already know the end of this story. I ate the first two big ones, no problem. And I went right on ahead and ate my meal in normal fashion. And so I took that third one and I chunked it down. And you know how green peppers are, they don't start kicking in until seconds later. You know what I mean? And then they intensify as the minutes go. And boy, this one did just that. I'm telling you. And there were people all in this restaurant. And mind you, I think I'm the only one that speaks a word of English. But I'm just sitting there going like, you know. And then the mug of water that I had, I'm just pouring it and I'm drinking it, trying to look as civilized as I possibly can, you know, and I'm doing my best to keep my composure. And I think I did a pretty good job. Um, but it took me, oh gosh, I just had to stop eating until the fire from that pepper toned down a lot. And one of the waitresses, bless her heart, in the middle of all that, I don't know if she sensed that something was up, but bless her heart, she came over to me and said, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" Of all things to offer a person who's sitting there whose mouth is burning up. But anyway, there was no bread and there was no milk available. But I will say the sugar, that I don't usually put sugar in my coffee, but sugar, you know, kind of helps tone that down. And so this is one of the times I was kind of glad that there was sugar in the coffee. This stew that I had is called gamjatang. And basically what it is a stew of various Korean vegetables and pork backbone that has been simmering for hours and until the meat is real tender and just comes right off that bone. But also by doing that, simmering the bone like that, it enriches the broth, yes, and made it nice and thick and just very tasty. And then, you know, when they added the other seasonings, red pepper paste and the other things that I don't know. All I know right now is that it was a very delicious stew. And that meal cost me 5,500 wons. Yeah, and I'll post right here what that amounts to in today's USDs. It was a very filling meal, a small meal, but very filling, hearty. And yeah, it's kind of a cool night, so it was very nice. Have I told you about this ice cream yet? Mm, mm, mm. And I was at the grocery store. Yeah, and on my way out past the bakery, isn't that beautiful? Oh man, uh, the kind baker had just taken them out of the oven. Oh, yeah, and I knew I was going to want some coffee, and well, uh, mmm, 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 mmm. Oh, can you think of a better thing to go with coffee right now? Hmm. Don't worry, I'm going swimming tomorrow. It's a tough life, isn't it? Anyway, we'll talk at you later. I'm Big Bear Ron.